Thorny, as we venture into the R&R, two truths are consistent. We love our dear Montana State, and we love great beer. And you know who else feels the same? Jeremiah Johnson Brewing. Brewed in the heart of Montana in downtown Great Falls, Jeremiah Johnson takes Montana's finest ingredients to craft some of Montana's favorite beers. And now, Jeremiah Johnson's second tap room is open in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Their Citra IPA is probably one of my favorites. But we all know, Thorny, you're not the hop lover I am. You're more of a mountain man Scotch ale.
Well, Foley, I'm certainly not a mountain man, but you are right. I do love their Mountain Man Scotch Ale. But come game day, you and I are both cracking their Golden Bobcat Pale Ale. So when you're looking for a quality craft beer brewed with Montana roots, a relaxing tap room, or just a six-pack to take to your favorite Bobcat tailgate, Jeremiah Johnson delivers. Make your next beer a Jeremiah Johnson, and as always, go Cats.
Welcome, everybody, to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right. Welcome back, Bobcat fans, and thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R Catcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Foley. Across the state from me is my good buddy, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R Catcast, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. And we have a danked sponsor in Jeremiah Johnson brewing awesome beers in Great Falls, Montana. The second tap room over in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Thorny, we just went through the Big Sky Championship week. Both boys and girls came out on top. We're here to talk about it, buddy.
Absolutely an amazing week in Bobcat basketball, Bobcat athletics. Can't wait to talk a little bit about it and just to recap the exciting run that the Cats went on and talk about what's coming up next.
Is this the best time to be a Bobcat?
In my lifetime, absolutely. Absolutely. Like in my, I was 1 year old when we won the national championship in 1984. So I would say, yes, this is the best time to be a Bobcat fan that I can certainly remember.
Yeah. I mean, with the football team going to the national championship and now having both the basketball programs make it to the championship and win the championship in the Big Sky Conference tourney. Not only that, the men's winning the season outright. What a run, right? I mean, it's been such a pleasure this week. I know coming into last week, I was like, man, we got a lot of expectations on our shoulders. Catch this win, won the conference, and now we're the number one seed. I didn't know if we would be able to handle it. I kind of had some good feelings about the women. I thought the women would. I thought if we could get past the first two games, we would have a really good shot in the final. And like I expected, I think the women did kind of had pulled some momentum as the tourney went along. Well, we'll get into that, but whew, man, that was a fun week. That was a really fun week to watch all those games in. I was just so proud of our Bobcats. Like, it's so cool, right, to see all that happen.
It is. It's awesome. Still on cloud nine, man. I can't believe, been waiting my whole life to see us go dancing, and I get to see the men and the women do it. It's amazing.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, if you couldn't tell, this episode is going to be about the conference championships, the men and the women Cats going to the big dance. And Thorny and I are going to give our best shot at just recapping what this week was about for us. We won't get into too many particulars about the ins and outs of the games, but we'll just give you some of our thoughts and see where that conversation leads us.
Sounds fun. Why not? I mean, unless you have nothing.
I have something. I actually went to the grocery store tonight to pick up something, so I will lead us off. I have Hop Valley Bubble Stash, and I think I had this on a couple, maybe earlier this season or later. I don't know, football season. Anyways, it's from Eugene, Oregon. It's one of my go-tos. It's pretty good. IPA,
shocking. I have a Shocking. Mountain Man, Jeremiah Johnson Scotch Ale over here that I have,
Oh,
and I just cracked it. Don't know if you heard that. So always a great choice, and
oh
yeah,
man.
celebratory
I
beer
was
for a celebratory season.
I was over in Great Falls over this weekend and I bought a 6-pack of Jeremiah Johnson Citra IPA and I took it over to my buddy Tom's house. And with the thought of like, we'll take a couple over and then we only had 2 of them. I think it was just between my wife and I actually. And we left it at Tom's house and I was kind of kicking myself on the way home today. I was like, dang it, I left those remaining Citra IPAs over there in his fridge.
Yeah, the classic. Do you bring your own beer back with you if no one drank it at a party type conundrum, a social conundrum? It's like you're supposed to leave it, but at the same time, it's like no one drank it. Maybe they don't want it. I want it. I'm bringing it back.
Yeah.
My wife tells me that's very much not okay, but I'm with you, man. I would have snuck that beer back.
Well, it's a present for him now. Anyways, I hope he enjoys them.
Enjoy, Tom.
All right. Well, let's start with the women because they started playing first this week. They played Weber. What day was that? Was that on Monday?
That was, I don't know.
Jeez, I think maybe Tuesday. They probably did. Yeah, they would have had. They were the women were the number 2 seed, so they would have had Monday off.
Yeah, the women. Yes, yep. Played Weber State. Yeah, the bracket doesn't have the things on here, but yes, Weber State was able to beat Sac State. Weber State, the 10th seed. Sac State, the number 7 seed. Weber State actually beat the Cats, right? Earlier in the year.
I think we lost Weber State. Not aware of right now.
Yeah,
I can look that up real quick for you.
Weber, yeah, you can do that if you want. Weber State was like historically bad for years. Like they only won like 2 total games. Like I feel like 2 years in a row, like 4 games in 2 years combined or something. But they kind of got it back together this year, which it's just so surprising to see a school that has such a good men's team like Weber State has such a poor women's team. But they got it kind of rolling this year. I think pretty sure they beat the Cats earlier in the season, but Cats got revenge in that one.
So
what you got?
December
the final
30th,
score there,
man. 63. Well, this was December 30th. They beat us 63-68, but we did get revenge on them on February 5th. Beat them 74-71, so that's like a close contest.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't hitting our stride through February as much as we did in the postseason. No. So we beat them 81-60. We actually it was a kind of a cakewalk for Montana State. Kind of, in my estimation, this was the Cola Bad Bear and Darian White show. Both of them had 23 and 22 points respectively. This one didn't challenge the Cats all that much.
No, it was good to see. And that's the game where you realized, all right, maybe the Cats are going to make a run at this thing, because that was a lot easier than I was expecting, considering they beat us. And you said that we won the other game by like 3 points. So close contested regular season matches, but Cats were hitting their stride late in the season, and they just continued that on against Weber State.
Coming off so you have that first day bye. Let's say you earn that bye. I think the first 4 teams get that. The thing that always concerns me is that team like Weber, they played already. Their jitters are probably already done. And that can kind of kind of derail the game a little bit if you start slow and you're feeling a little nervous. So that was something I was a little bit kind of concerned about, but didn't seem to bother the Lady Cats.
No, I watched a lot of the Big Sky tournament because I was able to kind of keep it on here and there throughout the day, work from home and all that stuff. There's a lot of teams that started bad. Like it seemed like every game started like 13-2. Like there's one team had the jitters, and you're right. Like it is a benefit if you're able to win that first game to not have to go through that second time, because the team with the bye did go through that in several cases on the men's and the women's side. But the Cats didn't really have that struggle in this one, and they jumped out and took control of that game, which earned them a date with. And this is when I saw this come up on this the bracket, I was like, if this lines up the way I think it's going to be, because Idaho is good. I don't know how they fell to a 6 seed. Like that's a good program. Jay Newley's a good coach. I think there's some inconsistencies this year. Is it John Newley? I said Jay Newley. Who's Jay Newley?
I don't know.
Either way,
maybe he's like twin brother or something.
When I saw the possibility that this game would be played, and then it did play, I'm like, this is probably the championship game right here. Yeah, this is Montana State, Idaho. This is the championship. Whoever wins this game is likely going to go on to beat because Idaho State was knocked out at this point by Northern Colorado, who beat the Lady Cats in the final regular season game to deny a share of the title. So UNC goes on this little run on their side of the bracket. So all of a sudden it's UNC NAU on one side and the Lady Cats and Idaho on the other side. And man, I just had visions of last year against Idaho when they were just pummeling the Cats. Like, and I don't mean like beating them by a lot of points. I mean physically abusing, throwing elbows, throwing players down. And it started off that same exact way. Like, I don't remember who it was, got completely thrown to the ground on a jump ball. And they didn't call anything. By Beyonce B, who is just a beast. She's a hell of a player. Like, I'm going to give her all the credit in the world.
Man,
but
yeah.
Physical, like it was a physical game. And I'm thinking like the refs are just going to let Idaho just street fight us into another win, aren't they? And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, the refs just decided to call everything. It was very confusing to follow as a fan. But I'm glad they started finally calling some calls there in that game, because this was a big game for the Cats to get over that hump. And like I said, I felt if we won that game, it didn't matter at that point. Even if Idaho State was still in the tournament, I figured once we beat Idaho, like it was the year of the Lady Cats, the year of the Cats.
I would say this is the game I was looking most forward to for the Lady Cats, just because there's a little bit of bad blood between Idaho and Montana State.
I would say so. At least from my
maybe
that's the point.
Yeah, I think you and I have kind of crafted that narrative, and just watching that game last year, because you're right, they just pummeled us, and it was frustrating and infuriating, and could never get on a run, and they did. Like we would hit a shot in the classic, they would come down and hit a three. I think in this game, Ryan, do you remember we came out like a rocket, and then they hit like 3 back-to-back threes, and then had a 3-point play. So
I remember that, yeah.
All within like, it was like a flurry. You're like, holy cow, where did that come from? And then
it was a game of runs. Over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote down they had like 7 lead changes in this game, and so it was a contested game. Idaho had the lead going into the fourth quarter, 56-55. But yeah, they have such good shooters and such good inside game with B. But the thing that stood out to me in this game, and this is where Montana State proves why they are the champion, is the depth of Montana State. Because then you start seeing, not only, I mean, you're going to listen, you're going to know the names Darian White, you're going to know the names Cole Badbear, but you might not know Leah Beatty, Caitlin Lamardo. I mean, you probably have heard of her. But these two young ladies had terrific games, and they were the spark that Montana State needed, because we weren't hitting shots. And then Caitlin Lamardo and Leah Beatty down the stretch hit big time 3 balls to, keep the Cats just edging ahead. And then we were able to put it away at the very end. And I think that is a story for Montana State, is the depth that they have. Not only these girls, we could talk about some other girls that come off the bench, but Montana State's bench was fantastic. And that's really, I think, the reason why we were able to get to the championship game and win the championship game as well.
Yeah, you're looking at we're on the Idaho game here real quick before we jump over to the championship game. Idaho played 7 players. The Cats played 10 players, excuse me. Ashley Van Sickle had 6 minutes. Madison Jackson, Ava Ranson had 7. Lexi Deaton had 11, and Taylor Jansen had 12 off the bench. And Idaho just had 2 players off the bench, period, at all. I didn't realize until I'm looking at this, Beyonce B played 40 minutes. She played the entire game. She didn't come off the floor once. Yeah. I didn't realize that. Until I'm looking at the stat sheet. That's crazy. That is absurd. Yeah. I don't care what level of sport you play. Every single second of any game, it's any basketball game. That's crazy. But
Idaho tried to impose their will. They were like physical, like you said. That's kind of their brand of ball. And we got them though. That one felt really good.
It felt
really good to beat.
And at that point, you're feeling good, and you're looking on the other side, and like, well, there's Northern Colorado who beat the Cats into the regular season, beat Idaho State, but they ran out of gas. They lost to Northern Arizona, who quietly went on a really good run on their side of the bracket to set up the championship game against the Lumberjacks and the Lady Cats. And this is a game that the Lady Cats controlled most of, but NAU tied it pretty late in the fourth quarter. They made a big run at the end. Like if, yeah, do you have the stats there?
Yeah, they had a 17-0 run.
There you go.
Like from the last part of the third quarter to the first part of the fourth quarter. And we didn't score for like 6 minutes and 31 seconds. That was concerning. I was like, what the heck? Because I was teaching. This was during my teaching day. So I kind of had it on my phone and I was putting it close to my computer or projector. I was kind of keeping track of it. And I was like, oh man, we're cruising. And then I saw that. I was like, what the heck happened? This thing is way too close at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Darian White answered with a 9-0 run on her own or something like that, if I remember correctly here. But yeah, crazy.
Oh, man.
Crazy. Like, I mean, NAU scored 6 points in the second quarter. Like, you know that's just not going to continue. But even the third quarter was 23-22 Cats. But then, yeah, just that crazy run there. And they actually tied the game with, 7 minutes and 31 seconds left. They took the lead. Excuse me. They were up 53-51 at this point. But then it was all Cats after that. It was another kind of game of runs, but got a lot closer than it should have. But then I know Darian White hit a 3-pointer. I think Caitlin Lamardo hit some clutch threes in this one as well, like she has all tournament. It was just a great gutsy performance by the Lady Cats to close it out because they almost let it slip away after a solid first half. But that's what makes champions different, is that they can close out games or they can dig down and figure out what they need to do to win the game. And the Lady Cats are able to do that. Yeah.
And going back, I wasn't able to watch this game. Maybe you can talk about this, but I went back to the Idaho game. The thing that kind of spurred the Lady Cats on was their defense. They forced 21 turnovers against Idaho. I'm not sure what the stat was against NAU, but I mean, that's huge. We were stingy.
It was a weird game. NAU out-rebounded the Cats badly. I'm looking at it right now. NAU had 47 rebounds.
Holy
29 for the Cats, which is just crazy. NAU had 17 offensive rebounds. The Cats had 5. We were just getting pummeled on the boards. But there you go. Like you said, the turnovers is what sunk NAU. That's 17 turnovers, and they had 15 fouls. But, it was they would turn the ball over, but then they'd get every single rebound. It was a kind of a weird game. Even though we led the entire time, we were getting crushed on the boards. It was not sure I've seen a game play out exactly like that before, but, Cats were able to buckle down on defense in the second quarter and, hold on basically in the second half. And especially after NAU went on the 17-0 run, they really kind of clamped back down.
Cool thing about NAU, Lori Payne is their head coach. Lori Payne is from Havre, Montana. And I remember watching Lori play in the CMR Fieldhouse when she was before the Blue Ponies. And Havre would come down and play the wrestlers, the lady wrestlers. And she was legit. I remember watching her back then. I was like, dang, she's awesome. And then she went on to play over at University of Washington and had a storied career over there. But it's kind of a cool thing, a girl from Havre leading NAU to the charge. It's cool to see NAU have some success too, not just your traditional Idaho or Idaho State. Yeah, so kind of cool to see a new team kind of rise up to the top.
Yep, hope they can keep the momentum going. I don't really remember any of their players off the top of my head. I'm looking at the stat sheet. I remember Rodabaugh had a pretty good game against the Cats, but yeah, I don't know what they returned, but yeah, like you said, good to see someone else kind of step up, make the national championship. Here I go again, talking football chatter all the time. Make the championship game. Yeah, it was exciting, and just an awesome win by the Lady Cats. I felt so proud and so excited after that win. Just elated, just watching the celebration on ESPN Plus. It was really cool.
It's good to see them earn that because it was taken away from that 2020 team that had, Fallon Frazier and Blair Braxton.
Thank you.
Darian White was a freshman. Cole Badbear was a freshman on that team. And that's when COVID hit and they were in the championship game and it got canceled against Idaho. They were 25-6 that year. That was probably one of the best teams Montana State has ever had, if not the best team Montana State.
Were they undefeated in conference that year?
That I'm not sure, but it was just like
really good. It was so frustrating to see that canceled. They got robbed.
So, so it's a little bit of redemption in Boise, and it's just good to see. I thought about that 2020 team win.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because it was a cool story, and I saw people talking about it. I know Jarian White shouted them all out when she was doing her post-game presser and all that stuff. So I'm glad you remembered to bring it up. I'll wrap up the conversation about the women's tournament. Jarian White, tournament MVP. Cola Badbear was on the all-tournament team. Beyonce Bay, Hannah Cemento from Northern Colorado. Kiara Rika? Rashid? I don't know how to say that name. NAU. And Regan Schenk. Man, shouldn't have tried this. NAU. So 2 NAU players on there. Cola Badbear and then Darian White, the MVP. So congratulations to the Lady Cats on the all-conference team and Darian White for being the obvious choice for the MVP.
No, absolutely.
Glad she's only she's a junior, right?
Junior.
She's coming back.
Junior.
Sure. That's exciting.
She's coming back.
It's a good young team. Like the Cats should and will be good again next year. Oh. Are we going to talk about them who they're playing real fast before we even move off the ladies? The season's not over. If you listen to us and the way we just recapped it, you might think that. The Cats will play the reigning national champion Stanford Cardinal. Is it Cardinal or Cardinals? I think it's just Cardinal, right?
The trees. Yeah.
That's their mascot.
Yeah, there's a cardinal.
It's a big stupid tree.
Yeah.
But that's a tough draw. Lady Cats get the 16 seed against the number 1 reigning champion Stanford Cardinal on Friday. I think it's on ESPN2 actually, which is pretty cool if I remember correctly.
In Stanford. I don't know how they pull that off. There's not is that where a regional thing is going on? I thought it was going to be in Spokane.
I don't know. I don't follow that typically too closely.
Well, I thought it was going to be in Spokane. I saw some graphic that came out earlier. I was like, oh man, the first round's in Spokane. I might go on Friday. But no, alas, I heard it's in Stanford. So
makes it even harder.
Home court advantage for
home court for the reigning national champion, number 1 seed. A tough break there. That is a little unfair. But good luck to the Cats. I'm excited to watch the game. I'm going to watch it and be cheering the whole time, regardless of the outcome. So I'm just super proud of the team.
Yeah, good job, Tricia Binford. She's a hell of a coach.
She's awesome. She's got it rolling. Hope she never leaves.
Yeah,
she's been here for what? 16 years, 17 years now.
Yeah, I was going to say 16. So I'm glad
you said it.
It's been a while
because it's been a minute. Still in college. Still in college when she was hired.
Mm-hmm.
That dates everything for me. Anyway.
All right, let's talk about the men.
Let's talk about the men. Where do you want to start on this one? Kind of recap how they got there too?
No, I just want to start a little bit. Yeah, I want to start a little bit on that last game, UNC, when Raekwon Battle hit that final 3 to win. I was outside watching my boys. My boys were like, hey, Dad, will you come watch me do the scooters outside so they can go in the street? Because we kind of have a busy street. And so I'm standing outside and I'm watching on my phone. And we had the game all but sewn up. At this point, we already won the conference championship, but this was our last game at home. We had such a good crowd. There's over 4,000 people there.
Yeah, looked good. Sounded good.
We had, at the very end of the game, if you didn't know this was so frustrating because we inbounded the ball to Amin Ndamu, and he turned it over, and UNC got the ball, hit Bodie Hume in the corner, and Bodie Hume hit a 3 to put them up by 2 points with 2 seconds left. And I'm like, are you kidding? We just lost the game on that turnover. And he just stroked his three from the corner. I was like, oh my word. What a bad way to end such a great season. And then it was history. Raekwon Battle gets the ball from 35 feet out on the logo and just tishes a three to win. And it becomes SportsCenter's top 10 play, the top play on top 10 plays. It was so cool to watch.
It was really cool seeing the Cats on ESPN, and what a great shot by Raekwon Battle. Like, I don't know if that it looked like that couldn't have been the play that was drawn up. It looked a little funky. Like, he was supposed to do something to Adamu. Adamu was covered, so he just took it himself and just pulled up and just shot it. With the follow through, left the hand up in the air because he felt good about it. Looked good. Swish. It was nothing but net. I was just jumping out of my chair when I was watching that live when it happened. I was so frustrated by that turnover and Bodie Hume 3-pointer in the corner. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, the game really didn't mean anything. The Cats already had the outright wrapped up. Bello wasn't even playing. Bishop left at halftime. But it was still awesome, exciting way to finish the game because we kind of, like you said, kind of blew the game with the turnovers. I don't know if that was the same play, but Isaac Spears was inbounding the play from underneath their side of the, and he threw it into the bottom of the backboard or the rim. It bounced off the rim. I don't know if that was a turnover, but I was just like, come on, Cats, get the ball in bounds, throw it into the hoop. It's like we're having a hard time there at the end. So
yeah,
good to see us pull out the win because that's the kind of momentum you want to carry into the tournament for sure. You don't want to come off a last second loss. Although both those teams ended up playing in the championship game, so I guess either way you look at it, didn't really matter.
So let's fast forward to Wednesday of the tournament because we started off playing Sac State. Sac State beat who did they beat?
The Vandals, the mighty Vandals.
That's right.
8-9 matchup.
And Sac State has a player. Was it Fowler?
Yeah,
we had trouble
Fowler.
With.
Yeah.
We continued.
He dropped like 30 some against Idaho.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what he ended up against the Cats, but
there was nothing to sweat on this game. I was a little bit nervous going into it. I was like, well, we're going to start slow. We actually started slow, I think, every game, except for the championship game in this tournament. But we ended up winning 83-61. Xavier had 14 points, and Great Osibor had 13 points. So those are top scores in this matchup.
Yeah, Fowler ended up with 20, and that Chappelle guy, who's a pretty solid player himself, ended up with 19. But Sac was 1 from 12 from downtown, so you're not going to win too many games going for 1 for 12. Cat's can attest to that. Again, Cat Grizz, pretty much exactly what we shot. I think we were 1 for 11.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Hard to win ball games.
Yeah.
And this is where Tyler Patterson hit 2. He was 2 for 5, which was good to see him make 2 in one game because I think it had been quite a while since he put up some goose eggs. Some offers. So to make 2 in one game, see him kind of get back on track because, he's an important part of the Bobcats' success. If he's hitting 3-pointers for a whole different team. And he really got it rolling in the championship game, and we'll get to that. But yeah, this is kind of the foreseeing the future here of Patterson being able to actually get going a little bit in this one.
He needed that. He was having a struggle through March and February, so that was big time. So I'm gonna withhold talking about him because we're gonna dabble in on that a little bit later. So let's move into the game that I think this was the de facto championship game.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
it's the same thing as the women's side. Like the semifinal game against the Cats, and their opponent was, I think, the championship in both brackets, in both men's and women.
Yeah. Back up just a little bit. Weber just rakes Montana over to the coals.
Yes, I was very disappointed to see that game. I don't know who I wanted to play in terms of matchups. I already made my point clear in the last podcast. I don't want to play the Grizz just because I don't want the pressure. But we probably would have been able to handle the Grizz a little bit better, possibly. But anyway.
Oh, I think we would have raked. I think we would have raked the Grizz over the coals if we're using that language. But anyways.
Are we?
Yeah, the Grizzlies, both men and the Lady Grizz and the men Grizz both made first round
exits. Huh. Is that 2
Sucks,
years in a row?
right? No, I think
The men went out one. They were 0 for 1 last year. The Lady Grizz may have won a game last year.
I think the men won against Weber last year.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Anyways, this game. So, Thorny, you're going to have to fill me in because I wasn't able to watch this game. I was driving to Great Falls, and about when you get to the top of Lookout Pass is when I lose cell reception. So, on the west side of Lookout Pass, you could get updates. I was getting your text. I was driving. And then as soon as you crest into Montana there, coming down on the east side of Lookout Pass, which was a white knuckler, there was snow and ice and everything. It was terrible, as Lookout normally is. I didn't have anything. And so I was like, oh, man. I was talking to my wife. I was like, geez. Like, man, we got to get down to St. Regis to get some cell service to see what's happening, because we were down at that point and we were going into the second half. And then my phone populated about 6 to 7 texts from you, and you were all over the board. You were expletives and, oh, man, we're up. You finally tied it. Holy cow. What's going on? And I was like, and then I went out of service.
Yeah, unfortunate for you.
It was
but
by the time I got back into service, I saw the good news, and I was able to go back and watch some of the game on the ESPN Watch app. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you can go rewatch the game anytime you want. I don't know why you were at this point, but it was one of those games where, again, there was the slow start where we were jumped out. I think they're 11-3 is the highest lead I see here. The Cats made a run there in the first, like halfway through the first, and got it within 4. And then it was one of those games where you just can't take a lead. You keep making a little run, and you get within like two or three, and then the other team scores. And that's how it felt all the way. And I was like, are we ever going to actually take the lead? Because that's where I finally texted you, oh, we finally tied it. But then Weaver came down and I hit scored 3 points on that. I think there was an and one. So we didn't take the lead until, late in the game, like 56-53 with 7.5 minutes left after just trailing the entire game, basically. It was a physical game. It was kind of a tough, kind of an ugly game, as a lot of the, tournament games are. But, battle was huge in this game. We got, Bello wasn't himself in this tournament, and we needed him in this kind of game. And, he just wasn't his explosive self. He only had 6 points. But luckily, Adamo turned it up. Bishop hit some key 3-pointers to get it going a little bit. We only shot 5 for 17 from downtown, so it was kind of a rough shooting game. But, again, just like the Idaho Lady Cats game, it was an ugly game against a physical, bigger team than us that kind of beat us up a little bit. And we were able to dig down deep and come out on top in the end and finally pull away, even though Weaver State had 2 decent looks to tie the game in the waning seconds there, and they missed them both.
Oh, man.
It was a little too close for comfort in the end there, but a really exciting game, a pretty good game. And you realized watching that game too, like this is, like you said, this is most likely the championship right here.
Yeah.
Whoever wins goes on to win.
Weaver's dudes just look big. They just look like they have NBA bodies. Their shoulders are ginormous.
It's like the Monstars from Space Jam.
So Dante Bissett, he's just a thick, big dude, right? Interesting stat, Thorne. There is a good stat I mined from this game. Montana State's bench had 29 points. Weber State's bench had 2 points.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's that's a good talking point right there. Is the Lady Cats and the men Cats. I just call it the Cats, right?
The men Cats. The man Cats.
Man Cat.
I'm gonna start calling the Montana State men's Bobcat team. Anyway. I get what you're saying, but it's just funny.
Yeah, I just think this is where we win the championship. Ultimately, is our depth. We have guys coming off the bench like great Ossenberg.
Yeah.
Like we saw him grow up during this conference tournament.
He had 24.
Bello was hurt. Yeah, I would almost argue that Osberg looks to me that he has a little bit more touch around the basket.
Yeah, he does. Absolutely. He's
than
got
Bello.
a bit more of a finesse game. He's got the strength too, but he's got a bit more of a touch and finesse on his game than Bello, who's a little bit more, I'm just going to try and dunk it two-handed as hard as I can every time.
Mm-hmm. We were able to feed him inside, and when he was able to back the guy in, he was able to, get him up in the air, draw a foul, or put it in the layup and, hit timely points for us. I would say the same thing for Nick Cazalis. Nick Cazalis and Tyler Patterson, this is what I want to start talking about those two. Those guys were so clutch for us because they're just straight role players. But how many times did we depend on Nick Cazalis for just hitting a clutch three that would stem any kind of momentum or give us the momentum in the game? There's a couple guys on the bench that we could talk about like that.
Like Raekwon Battle.
Yeah.
The reserve
it's
of
interesting.
The year, man of the year.
So what's your thought on this? I wanted to ask someone about this. Tyler Patterson starts in lieu of Raekwon Battle. And I think they do that to see kind of like what Tyler they're going to get that game. If Tyler's like a head case and gets down, he has a bad body language. Sometimes, when he misses those threes, he kind of like slaps his head and frowns and pouts a little bit. Yeah, he does that.
I haven't noticed that too much. Maybe during the slump, but
so why do you think he starts in lieu of Battle?
Well, there's two reasons. Obviously, you're probably right there to see what one you get, but it gives you the opportunity to have Raekwon Battle come in and play against other teams too. It's kind of hold off a guy that's a borderline starter, if not should be a starter, and have him dominate against another team's backups is a huge upside. I just think Patterson, for most of the year, was a just better rounded basketball player. Like, he doesn't make mistakes. Typically, his defense has gotten a lot better. He has hardly had any turnovers all year. But again, he's the kind of guy who'll give you, like, some games you'll get zeros literally across the stat line, like no rebounds, no assists, no steals, no turnovers. It was like 15 minutes. He didn't even show up. Like in this game, I'm looking at this game, he had a turnover. That's all he had against Weber State. He played 12 minutes and he turned the ball over one time. Nothing else on the stat sheet. He was 0 for 2 from downtown. That's it. But his defense has gotten a lot better, and he's just not, I don't know. Battle is a little bit, and Sprinkles talked about this. He had to kind of rein Battle in and slow him down. Battle can get going, get a little crazy sometimes. So I think Battle getting better and better has taken away Patterson's minutes. But when Patterson's hitting, he's invaluable. And you gotta get Patterson some shots right off the bat in the first 10 minutes of the game, because if he's got it, man, you got to ride it for sure. So I think both these guys should be back next year. I'm not sure Patterson starts next year with the way Battle has progressed, but that's my take on it. Is I just think Patterson was the more steady choice for most of the year, but I think Battle's going to overtake him eventually. He just have much higher ceiling.
Yeah, he does. As soon as Raekwon can master that defensive side, like you said, he was a work in progress. He always had the athleticism, always had the shot.
He's getting some blocks in though now, so
yeah,
like he's turned it on defensively. He's got a lot of work to do still, but I mean, Tyler Patterson was real bad defender last year. He's gotten a lot better too. Like, he can hold his own now. So, I mean, those things can be taught. So that's my take. Yeah. What do you think? Is that right on, or something else there?
No, I don't really have many thoughts on that. I was just wondering what you were thinking on that.
All right. Anything else on the Weber State game here?
When you look at the ESPN score tracker, it just looks like a piece of spaghetti wound up. There's no big gaps in the Weber State score or the Montana State score. It's just indicative of that game. It was just a great game. I think it was probably the best game of the conference tournament.
Yeah, if you went back and watched that without the lens of like freaking out as a fan, he probably would agree with that. Mm-hmm. But it felt bad for us because we just, I don't know. I felt like we didn't play great, but overall, I mean, you got to give credit to Weber State though. At that point, they are the reason we didn't play great, because they're big, physical, and they beat us up a little bit. All right, on the other side, So same kind of situation where Southern Utah, maybe the favorite on the other side of the bracket, loses to Portland State in their first game. They're one and done. Southern Utah against a crazy Portland State team that was just playing with not like pure effort, nothing else. Just playing as hard as they can, running as hard as they could the entire game, and that's how they just beat you. They took down Idaho State in a game where Idaho State just looked atrocious. They take down Southern Utah by handily, right? I don't have the score in front of me, but I remember them being up by like 14 at halftime, and they ended up winning by like 8 or something. Like it was never really in doubt. And then they almost beat Northern Colorado. They finally ran out of gas, though. I think they were up at halftime against them, but I think they finally ran out of gas from just playing at that energy level, that frenetic pace the entire time. And they finally ran out of gas. Northern Colorado, a team that's in Washington, and that was a game, Northern Colorado and Eastern Washington, but once Northern Colorado won that game and Southern Utah lost, you're like, all right, well, that's Northern Colorado for sure. So you're looking at the rematch of the race finale, and I'm feeling good about that. Northern Colorado basically with resting some starters and without Jabril Bellows, so I'm feeling pretty good about the game heading into it. What were your thoughts kind of heading into the game?
I was nervous, man. I mean, it all comes down to this. Like the story was written, and this would have been just a crushing defeat had we lost this game. And so I was on pins and needles. I don't think I had confidence because I've been a Cat fan my whole life, and we've lost a lot of these games in my life. And so
we don't even make it to these games.
Yeah, right. We used to call ourselves the Cardiac Cats for a legitimate reason in football. So yeah, I was a little bit nervous, but when we came out and Tyler Patterson hit like 4 out of 5 threes, and Gonzalez was 2 from 2 from the 3-point line. We just had a fast start, and I think you texted me later on. I don't think we ever were behind in this game.
No, it was 2-2. That was as close as it got. We were up 2-0, and then they scored 2, and yeah, that was the end of that.
Yeah, we got a little chippy there at the end, and there's some weird technical fouls calls. Like Nick Gonzalez got a technical foul, and I was like, how the heck did Nick Gonzalez get a technical? And then UNC's top scorer, and I can't think of his name right now. He's it's not Fowler, but that's the other guy. But anyways, he got tossed from the game. He was just torqued off.
Was it Coots? Dalen Coots.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, Dalen Coots. He got torqued off, and he was talking some words I'm not going to say right now because
I didn't catch all that. Like I don't know what's happened. I think I was with the kids by myself at that point. I should go back and kind of rewatch it. I'm curious because I know that their player at Cuxhausen got teed up, and we shot like a bunch of technical free throws, like you said. I didn't see Kuntz get ejected. I didn't even realize he got ejected until you're talking to this right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Spur and all that. I know, if I have to guess, like Xavier Bishop's got to be involved in this in some way.
You think?
Yeah, it's trash talking little guy just getting everyone's face all the time. And when you're beating a team by that much all game long, and you're gonna eventually get pissed. And I don't know what happened there, but that's all speculation.
Emotion's gonna run high in the championship game. Nobody wants to lose 87-66.
No.
The Cats played, like Danny Sprinkle said, the best game of the season. The most complete game of the season. UNC couldn't hit anything. Like, we're a little bit lucky. I would say our defense, was imposing some wheels on them, but they missed a lot of shots. And we were able to capitalize. We were feeding the ball inside to Great. It was cool to see Great just have himself one heck of a game because Jabril is just hurt right now. Let's just be honest. And
he is.
Just filled such a good role. Xavier went unconscious there in the third quarter. I'm talking women's second half. It would have been about the third quarter. He went unconscious there for a little bit, culminating in a step back 3 with 2 guys on him, and he just tishes it. You're like, it's our day. It's our day. You texted me at that point. We're like, we're going dancing. And then, of course, they come down and we have a turnover. They hit a 3. They hit another
Didn't
3.
matter. Didn't matter, man. We were up by so much at that point.
Yeah.
Like we were up by 25
Right.
at one point. Like
Yeah.
I was texting another buddy of mine, like, we got this. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of game left, man. I'm like, we're not blowing a 25-point lead with 8 minutes left in the game or 5 minutes left in the game, whatever it was. Like, it's not going to happen, man. I don't care.
Yeah.
We could not score another point and we're going to win this game.
Yeah. What a cool moment for the Cats.
Just
They
awesome
finally
moment,
realized it, man. Yeah. Since 1996. Huge moment. Awesome night. Watching the guys cut the well, actually, I don't think we could watch it because the ESPN goes to some different game, but
So you can rewatch the entire post-game celebration on ESPN Plus. Rewatch it.
I didn't know
I
that.
found that last
Thanks.
night. They have like a whole hour's worth of the post-game, everything, presentation, the all-conference team presentation, like everything you'd want to see. There's replay on ESPN Plus. Just search for like, you might have to navigate to the Big Sky Conference. I couldn't find it when I searched for Montana State, but if you go to like, at least on the ESPN app I have on my Apple TV, you can like search by conference, go to Big Sky Conference, and you can see Big Sky championship post-game press conference or post-game something or other.
Sure.
So the trophy celebration maybe is what it was called. So you might have to search like Big Sky Conference or something instead of Montana State, but you'll find it. It's pretty cool. I'd recommend going and watch that because it's just so cool seeing all these guys be so happy. That's what you dream of as any kid going into college. That's what you want. You want to go dancing. It doesn't matter where you play college. If you're Division I or if you're Division II, because they have their equivalent of it too. You just want to go to the tournament. That's the whole point. You either want to be the number one seed, take it all the way, or you want to be the underdog who shocks the world and people remember you forever for being a 14 seed that upsets a 3 seed. And you could tell it meant so much to the guys, and Danny Sprinkle, just an awesome win and an awesome way to cap an incredible season. 27 wins, 27-7. I don't know if we'll see that again. 27 wins. What a year to be a Bobcat, man. What a great season. And capped it off in dominating fashion against the Bears.
For Amin Ndamu and Abdul Muhammad to choose to come back, and Xavier Bishop to choose to come back, and for that to even take place, for the 6-man to fund that, basically to allow them to come back and pay for school, that is so cool. I mean, it's the vision was actualized. They got to the championship last year, and then they dominated in the championship game this year. And Skyline Sports put out the presser afterwards, and just watching those dudes talk about the experience, talking about the coach, how much respect they have for Sprinkle, how much love they have for Sprinkle. It reminded me when you and I were back at the Gold Rush game, and we got to sit in on that practice. I was thoroughly impressed just watching the way, Dan Russell and Coach Sprinkle and all the coaches just coach the guys. Yeah, Coach Haslam just coach the guys up, how they demand so much from them without demeaning them. And as a teacher, I respect that so much. They didn't yell, but they were able to coach the guys in a specific way that got the best out of them. And I'm just so proud that we have coaches like that. It just speaks volume about our athletic department and the leadership. And another cool thing, Ryan, before I get off this little tangent, is just Wade Cruzado, all the love and praise she got all week from her coaches and staff, and then Leon Costello. Both of those two have just really set the tone for Montana State, and just they deserve the applause.
Like athletic department of the year, like athletic director of the year, like everything of the year here at Montana State. Incredible.
Year of the Cat.
And you're talking about the way that Sprinkle coaches, like they're just the way he handled Tyler Patterson and kept his confidence up, even though he was in that slump. And, this is why you keep playing a guy like Tyler Patterson and you keep coaching him up the best way you can, because he plays 28 minutes. He scores 14 points on 5 of 6 shooting. He has 2 offensive rebounds, 3 defensive rebounds for 5 total rebounds. He has an assist, 1 block. And he had a great game. And this is the kind of game you get out of him, and that's what you can get if you can consistently coach a guy to reach his potential instead of yanking a guy because he has a bad game, or there's just different ways to handle it. Everyone's different, but just I love his coaching style, and this is where it kind of pays off.
Yeah, good point, Ryan. Now we get to play Texas Tech.
Now we get to play Texas Tech, the Red Raiders. Again, we played them in football. Was that last year already, or 2 years?
No, that was 2 years ago. That was Choate's last season.
That was Choate. That's right. Yes, but Texas Tech, man, that's a tough draw. I don't know a lot about. I don't watch a lot of college basketball outside of maybe this time of year. I actually watched Texas Tech a couple times at a couple different points. I'd turn on the TV and see them. Yeah, as a 9 seed or not a 9 seed, but they were like the underdog in the Big 12 tournament. I'd actually turn it on and like, all right, then look at the Texas Tech go here. But yeah, man, they looked tough, and it's a tough draw. But honestly, what isn't going to be a tough draw when you're a 14 seed?
It's right. Texas Tech is gonna. They're gonna try to impose their will defensively. They have a really good defense. They call it the no middle defense, which is essentially trying to use the out of bounds as a defender. So they try to get the ball handler to press them to the outer parts of the court. That's something I gathered on them. They're just long and athletic, like you think they would be if you were a 4 seed going into this. So
it's basically like a bunch of 6'7" to 6'10" guys. There's nobody like shorter.
No, yeah, and they have a couple seniors as well. So
they're a pretty new team, right? I think they came. Did you say they made the Final Four a couple years ago? But they lost their coach in the offseason, and they lost a whole bunch of players with it. Like transfer portal wiped them clean, but then transfer portal restocked them and took them a while to get going. I think like teams like Eastern Washington, when you have basically all new players, sometimes it takes some time, but they got it rolling. They absolutely got it rolling. And they are currently ranked, I think, 12th in the country. They finished 3rd in the Big 12 behind Kansas and Baylor, and they lost to Kansas in the Big 12 championship game by like 7 or something. So a pretty competitive game against the traditional powerhouse in Kansas. Yeah, like you said, defensive team holding teams to 60.1 points per game. I saw that they're like 10th in the country in, which I didn't even know this was a stat until I looked at it, non-steal turnovers.
What's that mean?
Forcing turnovers without stealing the ball, like taking a charge, is in this category. Okay. Or I assume like causing a team to throw the ball out of bounds. You didn't steal it, but they like launched it into the third row. Like that's got to be in the stat category. But anyway, yeah, they're also good at stealing the ball. So they play really good defense. They're good at forcing turnovers. They're first in the Big 12 play in 2-point percentage defense, and second in block percentage. So, and they're plus 6.8 rebounds. Like they are a big team. They like to funnel things to the outside, like you said. That's their weakness, is actually 3-point shooting. So that's where the Cats could have some success. But if we try and drive in there or just post it up with Bello all day long, which is like kind of what we do, it could be a long day there in San Diego.
Unfortunately, this one's going to be like starting early. It's the first game on Friday.
Yeah, 10:45 West Coast time over here.
Jeez. Yeah, I'll be in the middle of like third period by that time.
Yeah, you won't be able to watch that. I will make it happen.
Yeah. I'll put it on my phone somehow. Stash it somewhere covert.
Yeah. There's a couple like opponents here. Did you know that?
Yeah, they played Eastern. I saw that. I was kind of mining their schedule a little bit, and I think they played somebody else we played.
Incarnate Word.
Oh yeah.
We went down into that little weird 3-game invitational in Texas. That's and we ended up winning it. And I don't remember at what point we played Incarnate Word. I don't know if they're the championship game or what. I have no memory. But we beat them 84-62 and Tech, or I'm sorry, we beat them 83-64 and Tech beat them 84-62. So look at that. Look at that similarity. Don't mind the fact they trounced Eastern Washington and we lost to Eastern and struggled to beat them the other time.
Yeah.
Ignoring that part.
Yep. That happened.
Last couple things here. Ken Palm, Number 9, Texas Tech is the 9th-ranked team according to KenPom. The Bobcats are 125th, which is good for 13th lowest in the tournament. Yeah, there's a big hill to climb right here.
It is, man. Yeah. Let's be honest. It's likely going to be our last game of the season.
Most likely.
I don't want to put that out there like any bad juju, but I saw ESPN's one article gave us a 6% chance of the upset.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There's a chance.
That's higher than I saw Texas Tech's chance to win the national championship at like 5%. So our percent to beat them is better than their percent to win it all. So, nah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that matters for anything, but they're 14 seeds beat 3 seeds over 15% of the time, vote Ryan Foley.
What was that percent?
22 upsets out of 144 14-3 matchups. Good for 15.28% of all 14 3-seed games end up in upsets. So look at that.
If we pull
like
up
3 years in a row,
our role players are going to have big games. Nick Gonzalez is going to have a big game. Tyler Patterson will have to have a big game because they're going to funnel everything. Like the Xavier Bishops of the world and are on our team. Adamu, those guys will have to have good games as well, but our role players will have to play big.
Oh, for sure. We're going to have to shoot lights out from 3. We're going to have to take care of the ball against a team that forces a lot of turnovers. We're just going to have to hold our own on defense. And good thing is they don't shoot the 3 ball particularly well. And we're pretty decent interior defense with Bello and Osibor and Mohammed. Like, we have some good blockers. Like, we lead the conference in blocks. So we might be able to hold our own on the inside if they start making anything from anywhere from outside. I think they'll try and get Bello out of the paint and try and defend the perimeter, which he's not very good at, especially if he's got a bum knee. He's good at just kind of sitting there playing help defense. That's what Bello does.
Do you think Great and him split time evenly?
I like to see them on the floor at the same time. I would like to see us give that, because that has worked for us late in the season and in the tournament. We saw it in the tournament. I don't remember which game it was. Maybe it was the championship game, but we saw Osibor and Bello play at the same time, and that could be something we try in this game to try and counter some of their size with 2 6'8", 6'9", 250-pound dudes. Problem is they're not nearly as athletic as anybody we're going to see who's 6'8", 230 for Tech. But it's going to be our best chance to counter size. I don't know if we want to go that route or we just go small ball and try and run around them. I don't know. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Osibor is a better passer than Bello. I will give him that. He gets rid of the ball, kicks it out better. Bello holds on to it too long and gets stripped way more than I'd like to see. So
you do have a point there, buddy.
Working inside out could be problematic, and that's how the Cats have operated all year. How do you think the Cats can possibly win? Anything you got besides the bench players, or is that your main thing there? The bench play good.
And when I saw this come up, I just thought, Nick Gonzalez, Tyler Patterson are going to have big games from the get go, and if we can do that, and we have some success inside, we have a good inside outside game. That's one of our strengths, and they're going to try to take that away, no doubt. And keep us on, to the outside like what their defense does. So, I think those are my keys to the game.
I think that is just something that has to happen. That's something that's kind of almost expected at this point. Not like a huge game like they had against UNC, but they got to be productive like they have been. Like that. That's Patterson's a starter. You got to be productive. Gonzalez has to come in and get some good minutes. If Battle can come in and score 20 points, like that is upset material right there. If Battle can come off the bench, put in 20 points off the bench in a game that I don't think is going to be particularly the high scoring. Like, I don't think they're going to score like 90 points on us or 80 points. I think they'll probably score in the 70s. I can see this be like a 70 to 50 something odd garbage game. But if Battle can come in and, make some plays, do some things on offense and defense, like that's where I think Texas Tech won't be fully prepared to how good or athletic a guy like Battle is, because honestly, he's like a Pac-12 caliber athlete.
No, absolutely. If we can go on some sort of roll or run and then try to keep them at bay, hopefully they miss some easy shots, we might have a chance, man.
Might have a chance. You never know. That's why people watch March Madness, right? It's the whole point.
Yeah.
No one watches, unless you're a fan of the big schools, no one watches to see like the 1 and 2 matchup all the time. The first day in particular, people are tuning in because they want to see that 15 seed beat a 2 seed. They don't care who it is. It makes it even better if it's a school you've never even heard of. Like, where are these guys even located? I've never heard of that school. They just took down Baylor. That's what makes it fun. And why not us?
Yeah.
Why not us? Danny Sprinkle said that, right? Why not us?
Why not us? Yeah. Let's go, Cats. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Is there anything else you want to say on this episode?
Nah, I'm just super happy to be a Bobcat. It's a great time to be a Bobcat. Always is.
Always is, man. I mean, I feel proud every day, but after a year like this, it just doesn't get any better. It really doesn't. Yeah. It could get theoretically maybe one better if we won the national championship game.
Yeah,
but pretty damn.
Well, we still have the NFL draft coming up, so Troy Anderson.
Yeah. We get to root on Troy Anderson in that, and there's been a whole bunch of other accomplishments, and we'll do kind of a athletic year recap-y episode at some point where we kind of go through all the other great stuff that Bobcat athletes have done this year. But I think that does it for this episode. I can't wait, man. I will be watching both these games on Friday. I'm super excited. You can follow us along on Twitter. I'm sure I'll be tweeting a little bit about the game on the RRCatcast Twitter account. You can find us online at rrcatcast.com. You can always shoot us an email, rrcatcast@gmail.com. Thanks again to Jeremiah Johnson for being our dank sponsor once again. And let's get out of here fully with the big Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.